What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Here today to talk about mindful minimalism. Now, minimalism to me is defined as removing everything in your life that doesn't bring you joy and focusing in on the things that actually do fulfill you in the long run. This doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're no longer concerned about money, or you're no longer concerned about financial independence, or you're no longer concerned about those big goals that you have, which do connect with material goods. Let's say you're trying to save up to buy a house, for example. You don't have to disconnect from those entirely. You're focused more on the things that actually fulfill you and that bring you joy. You're not endlessly chasing some material good or constantly thinking about, oh, what am I going to buy next to get that hit of happiness that you're searching for. It's trying to really pare down your life and focus on things that are essential to you at the core level, that are going to give you happiness, that are going to fulfill you. And it doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you're dropping all your goals, you're losing sight of your big goals. It means that you're focusing in on the things that actually align with your values. And when I think about minimalism, to me, I really focus in on Buddhist practices. When I was traveling in Thailand, I learned a good amount about Buddhism, and I saw the way that people were living and the attitude that they carry in their day-to-day lives. And Buddhism really focuses in on the pursuit of nirvana, right? Trying to achieve a state of nirvana. And nirvana means to be free from suffering. Suffering is defined in Buddhism as craving something that you don't have. For me, that is a beautiful analogy for a potential way for us to live our lives. You know, in the West, we're so concerned about chasing. We're always concerned about what's the next step for me. Like, I move on to the next step. I move on to the next job. I get a promotion. It's always what's next. You know, what is next for me? And if you're living that way, you're constantly living out of the present moment. You know, you're thinking 5 steps ahead into the future. And while it's good to plan ahead and to have ambitious goals and to think about the direction that your life is going in, it really takes away from your development as a person, your character development, and your understanding of whether or not you're living in alignment with your values. You know, sometimes it's pushed upon us, right? Like, we don't even know exactly where our goals are coming from. And then if you really dig deeper and you think about them from all different angles, and you think about your history as a person, you think about your family upbringing, you think about how you were raised, and you think about the environment that you grew up in, you'll start to realize that a lot of these big goals that you might have are not actually your own goals. They're the goals of your family. They're what they think is best for you. They're the goals of society. It's what you should do in Western society, in America, in California. Like, it niches down even further. Like, if you're growing up in an area that's an affluent area and you're surrounded by people that are, you know, families that are hiring tutors for their kids, and they're saying anything below a 4.0 is a failure, that is going to get into your head. And all of a sudden you're going to think, I need to achieve more. I need to do more. But really what we should be thinking about is what's going to bring us joy? What's going to bring us happiness today, right now? What should I focus on? And the more that we can tap into this mindful minimalist state, the better that we're going to be, because we're going to be able to understand that you don't really need that next thing. You don't really need that promotion. You don't really need that house or that car to bring you happiness. And this might be stating the obvious, but when you look at society at large, you look at celebrities, you look at people that have achieved a lot in their lives, that have a shit ton of money or shit ton of things, whatever it is, those people aren't necessarily the happiest. They still have afflictions. Those people are still suffering. And oftentimes they're suffering even more than you and I are, because we're regular people. We have our own goals. We have our own situations that we're trying to figure out in our lives. We're trying to level up our lives. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to develop as a person and become a better version. But this goes hand in hand with that. Being a minimalist, having a minimalist mindset allows you to sort of step out of the frame that society or your family or your friends are putting you in. You're saying, you know what? I don't need any of this shit right now. I just need myself and my thoughts, and I need a few core things met in my life, and I'm going to be a happy person. And if you can shift your mindset towards minimalism, if you can shift towards this thought process of, okay, every day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be grateful for what I have right here, right now. I'm going to go after my goals, and I'm going to find joy in the pursuit of those goals, but I'm not going to attach to them. I'm just going to go after them because that in its own is what gives me happiness. You know, I think most of us are more fulfilled when we're chasing something bigger than us, when we're trying to improve our lives, when we're trying to build a project, when we're trying to express ourselves in a creative way and reach an audience, or whatever your task or your hobby is that you're working on. That is really what gives us fulfillment. It's not the achievement of the goal itself. It's not reaching the finish line. Like when you're running a marathon, you don't run the marathon just to have the medal. You run the marathon to build character, build resilience, build mental toughness as you train, as you put your feet on the concrete for hundreds of miles leading up to that race. That is really what you're doing it for. So really that minimalist mindset is more focused on that. It's more focused on how can I shift towards relieving myself of this suffering state that we always find ourselves in, chasing after the next thing, chasing after something slightly greater than what we already have, when really happiness and joy can be found right in front of you. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and this is, hitting home, if this relates to you, I invite you to try something small this week. Over the next week, I want you to pick one area of your life that you want to simplify. It could be your schedule, could be blocking out time each day to give yourself personal time or focus time or whatever it is. It could be your inbox. So, that could mean unsubscribing from emails that aren't serving you, unsubscribing from all the newsletters or the news articles that just arrive in your inbox every single day that distract you. The other thing, it could be, your living space. It could be simplifying your kitchen space. It could be removing stuff from your kitchen. It could be getting rid of your desk clutter. Anything like that can help you tap into a more mindful state of being. And these things will ripple throughout the rest of your life. You'll find yourself being more present, more attuned with what you have right now, more appreciative of what you have right now and who else is in your life. And all of these things, it's kind of a compounding effect. Once you focus on mindfulness in one corner of your life, it can start to expand out into all the other corners of your life and touch every part of your life and every person in your life. So that's what it's all about, guys. It's not about perfection. It's about slowly shifting towards not needing extra stuff to be happy. You don't need all that extra shit. Like, really, you don't. Sometimes it'll give you a small little spike of happiness. It'll give you a small little bit of satisfaction. We've all felt that with retail therapy, and you got something coming in the mail in Amazon. It's like, oh shit, I can't wait. It's like Christmas. But really, that's not what's going to give you long-term happiness. You're going to keep coming back. It's a vicious cycle. Every single paycheck, you're going to be plotting what you're going to buy next. And it's going to give you that small hit of dopamine, that small bit of happiness, but then you're going to be back to square one. So we have to find a way to reach nirvana like the Buddhists do. And it doesn't mean that you have to go out and meditate on a mountain. You can start doing these things in your life today. You can start trimming down the fat on your life. You can start removing excess materials and focusing in on the activities and the people that really bring you joy. All right, that's it. That's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.